So what's your response to Republican lawmakers who have said today that your administration should take more accountability and not downplay what's happened with Signal that we've seen in these messages today?
Well, I don't know about downplaying. The press upplays it. I think it's all a witch hunt. That's all.
Do you still believe there was nothing classified that was shared?
Say it?
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the various people involved.
President Trump took decisive action.
Approval and just
America only, or America alone.
I need to call foreign ministers, especially of our close.
private with the president of Russia.
Because it's in, we're talking about.
Various officials, including Pete Hegseth this morning.
If this was the case of a military officer, an intelligence officer, and they had this kind of behavior, they would be fired.
Nobody was texting war plans.
That's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans when targets were going to be targeted.
I believe there was discussion around targets in general.
I want to find if there's any human mistake or if a signal doesn't work. It could be that signal's not very good. It's a company.
Senate Republicans have said that they have formally asked the administration for an Inspector General report on the Signal issue. Will you agree to that?
It doesn't bother me. I don't know. It's a company, and maybe it's not very good. I think we'd rather know about it now. There was no harm done because the attack was unbelievably successable that night.
So Mr. President, he's responsible, but he's also overseeing the investigation to find out what went wrong. Maybe
Who's responsible?
Mike Waltz says that he's responsible.
Well, yeah, Mike Waltz, I guess he claimed responsibility, I would imagine. It had nothing to do with anyone else. It was Mike, I guess. I don't know. And that's ultimately what you should be talking about, I think. So Mike he took responsibility for it.
Should Secretary Hegseth consider his position over the Signal?
Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with this. How do you bring Hegseth into it? He had nothing to do with it. Look, it's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you.
The Secretary of Defense has said that the information in those messages was not classified. Are you going to ask him to review whether it should have been, should flight times and sequences?
Sure, I'll ask him to do. Sure, I would.
About tariffs. So plenty of time for more questions. Sorry it's a bit shorter today, guys.
Can you explain, had these messages been?
We are not going to be lectured about national security.
Has the president been briefed and physically seen he's seen all the details of the chat as printed by the Atlantic?
I just spoke to the president about it, yes.
Then let me ask you if I can very quickly. In the chat, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, details F-18s, Tomahawks of some of the weapons that were used. He details the timing involved for this, all of which occurred 31 minutes before, as he says, F-18s would launch. The DoD manual details classified information as significant military plans, saying that is secret, that's classified. So what is it about what Pete Hegseth wrote that makes you say this is not classified?
Well, it's not just me saying that, Peter. It's the Secretary of Defense himself. And again, this message, there was no classified information transmitted. There were no war plans discussed.
Would you characterize these as military plans, military operation plans?
I would characterize this messaging thread as a policy discussion, a sensitive policy discussion, surely, as well as the Secretary of Defense. This question has been asked and answered. There was no classified material discussed. Jackie.
On what basis I was asking?
Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. So, why aren't launch times on a mission strike classified?
Again, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement he put out this morning. And again, going back to the American public, do you trust the Secretary of Defense or do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter? We are not going to be lectured about national security and American troops by Democrats and the mainstream media, we take the lives of our troops, safety, security, prosperity around the globe with the utmost seriousness.
Goldberg's intentions, do you believe
Jennifer,
that he
go
would
ahead.
release that to embarrass the administration ahead of the worldwide threats?
Jennifer, go ahead.
And you said that the president has now personally reviewed them. At the chat, at one point, Pete Hegseth wrote 14-15 strike drones on target, and in all caps he said, "This is when the first bombs will definitely drop." Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors, whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there, now that he's seen these messages?
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
Okay,
Philip.
and I might follow up on what you had just said.
No, go ahead, Philip.
I have a
Caitlin, I'm not taking your follow-up. Philip, go
I have
ahead.
a follow-up on something you just said, though, Caroline. That's
Caitlin,
regarding
I'm not
Jeffrey
taking
Goldberg.
your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I have called on you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Do you think that Mike Waltz made a mistake, and does he need to apologize?
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future. What do you think?
Sir, I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
He is telling his country to prepare for war. His words.
Criticism I've seen the administration.
With our allies and our partners.
Rightly pointed out would have never happened when you've been president.
Comment. And the first question I have for everyone is,
Mr. President, are you going to change any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. There was no classified information, as I understand it, and I think I'll ask Mike. Mike is here. Do you want to respond to that, please?
Yes, Mr. President, you asked about lessons. I think there's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president. And this one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. But I'll tell you what, the world owes President Trump a favor. And for once, as we hear, as you all hear from every one of our allies, thank God for American leadership again. Thank God for American strength. You're welcome, world.
Respond to that, please.
Yes, Mr. President, you asked about lessons. I think there's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about.
National security was put at risk, Mr. President. Put at risk, Mr. President.
Of senior officials using signal
Do I
moving
plan to
forward.
ban who?
The use of signal to communicate from senior officials.
Well, I don't know
especially when it
this,
comes
I don't know anything about Signal. I wasn't involved in this, but I just heard about it. And I hear it's used by a lot of groups. It's used by the media a lot. It's used by a lot of the military, and I think successfully. But sometimes somebody can get onto those things. That's one of the prices you pay when you're not sitting in the Situation Room with no phones on, which is always the best, frankly.
It's apparently a real channel, and I appreciate them telling the truth.
That's an app that a lot of people use, and somebody got on. I mean, happened to know the guy's a total sleazebag. The Atlantic is a failed magazine. Does very, very poorly. Nobody gives a damn about it. This gives it a little bit of a shot. And I will tell you this, that they've made up more stories And they're just a failing magazine. The public understands that. He's a very good man. That man is a very good man right there that you criticize so strongly.
So are you going to change any procedures as a result of this?
This certainly will look at this, but the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified information. So this was not classified. Now, if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different. But I always say you have to learn from every experience. I think it was very unfair the way they attacked Michael. He's a good person. The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know. The man that we're talking about, who's not somebody that I don't think most people have ever heard of. So he's made up a lot of stories, and you know, I think he's basically bad for the country. And a thing like this is publicity for them, but I don't think we should allow people that are very good, like that man sitting right at the end of the table who's done a great job, we shouldn't allow them to be hurt by it.
Reopen peace in Europe, as we just saw today with a Black Sea ceasefire just on.
The dollar, that includes China. Because he's a fierce advocate for the health of our children. It's been very biased, the whole group.
The subcommittee on DOGE is going to review funding for NPR and PBS. Would you be interested in defunding and taking away taxpayer dollars to NPR and PBS?
Well, I would love to do that. I think it's very unfair. It's been very biased with the whole group. I mean, a whole group of them. And frankly, there's plenty. Look at all the media you have right now. There's plenty of coverage. I was from a different age, so the kind of money that's being wasted, and it's a very biased view. You know that better than anybody. And I'd be honored to see it end. We're well covered. Look at all the people that we have here today. We're well covered, and we don't need it. And it's a waste of money.